No worries, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the weekly segment on Ali's Attic Show, the food talk with Sanjay in the attic. Sanjay Raja is an actor, an author, a nutrition and fitness expert. He travels extensively speaking about all of these topics, as well as his book, The Food Talk, which is what this is based on. We're going to be talking about relevant topics concerning health and wellness, nutrition and fitness for all ages, and much, much more. Plus, we're going to have fun and do giveaways. So if you have questions for Sanjay, please type them in the chat and I will get to them. And this episode's topic is culture and comfort food. Please say hello to Sanjay. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. The week rolls by so fast and the show comes and I'm excited. And then guess what? I turn around, the show's over.
I know. I know. And it's like an hour and it just flies. And it's like, no, I want to go longer.
I
It's
agree.
crazy.
I agree.
Okay, so I'm going to hand it over to you because we are going to be talking, like I said, about culture and comfort food. I'm going to just mention really quick that you are doing another giveaway.
Yes.
I'm also going to remind the people that won the giveaway last week, if you want it, to please contact Sanjay. But this week, I'm going to let you tell them. You have to type the word. Okay, first off, let's start from the beginning. You have to be following Sanjay and I both on Twitter and Instagram. Sanjay is at Go Big Raja, Raja. I'm at Ali's Attic Show. So you have to be following us on both Instagram and Twitter. When we decide that we're going to say, okay, go, you have to go and type the code word, which is comfort food, either on Twitter or Instagram, and you have to tag both of us in it so we know we know who won, because he's giving away to the first 30 people that do that. I'll let you tell them what you're giving them.
Yeah, so for the first 30 people that tag us on Twitter and Instagram with the code word, we'll get a free copy of my ebook, which is the Food Talk, A Parent's Guide to Teaching Healthy Habits to Kids of All Ages. And I will promptly send that to the first 30 people who are lucky enough to win the book, and I hope they enjoy it.
Yes. Well, God, if they, I want the book, but I can't take part in the contest. Okay, so I'm gonna hand it off to you, Sanjay, and you're gonna start with the culture and comfort food.
Yeah, so for those in the audience who don't know, my cultural background is East Indian, and I was born in India, spent a good amount of time there. Then I moved to the States, spent a little bit of time in so many different cities until my parents landed us in Kansas City, of all places. Yeah, exactly. And the reason why I give the backdrop to culture and comfort food with my personal story is that my culture really had a profound effect on me in terms of eating, and it has a profound effect on everybody. We're talking parents, our grandparents, kids. And we don't realize that what we learn from our culture and what we learn from our parents is passed on to us. And if we're not aware of what's going on, we are going to pass on those same habits to our children. And unfortunately, most of those habits, a lot of times, are bad habits that we get passed on to. So, give you a quick example of my story. And that is, I had a sugar addiction, which is amazing because it took me so long to break it. But the reason why I had a sugar addiction, because it started at a really young age. And my mom, when she would make dinner for us, she would make Indian food 90% of the time, even when we moved to the States. And one of the dishes she made was this dish where she would take bananas, cut them up, grill them with clarified butter, and then pour some sugar on top of them. They caramelize. So it's like an Indian version of bananas Foster, which was fantastic in every way. And I literally would gobble up my dinner just so I could get my treat. And that was my treat. And she would make it every single time. And I just put on the pounds. I mean, constantly she would give me this. I would be putting on the pounds. And I had a sugar addiction. And then when I was an adult, I am an adult now, but what I'm saying is early on in my 30s and even late 20s, I had this sugar craving that was started when I was a kid because of this one dish that really got me hooked. And the point of this conversation is if we all really take time to think about what foods that we grew up with as kids, which are our comfort foods, foods that made us feel good, foods that remind us of home, foods that our mom would used to make, more often than not, it's something decadent, something fatty, something sugary, and that has influenced our eating patterns from childhood to adulthood. And I take it a step farther, that has influenced what we feed our kids. So that's why this chapter from my book is so important, because this tells you a lot about your feeding habits, and you can trace it back to when you were a kid.
Wow. And as you're saying this, I know of one treat that I don't know if you've ever heard of shortbread.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
I'm Irish. No, I'm Scottish. It was what we got every Christmas, and yeah, that started at an early age. I still eat it, but anyway. Now it's funny because so that was your culture, is what your mom was making.
Yeah, so I grew up in North India. North India is in the state of Gujarat, so I'm Gujarati. There's all these different languages in India, but I'm Gujarati, and Gujarati food contains sugar in just about everything. Literally, they'll make food and they'll just throw a little bit of sugar in there, and I have no understanding why they do that. Like they'll make something spicy and they'll throw a little bit of sugar in there. I'm like, why are you doing this? Because that's just what Gujarati people do, is put sugar in everything. So I grew up on that, and I didn't realize what had a profound effect on me, and that's where my sugar addiction came from, because it was the culture, it was the comfort food from that culture. So I carried that with me, and then I had to break the cycle because I finally took the time to realize what was going on. And so my message to the audience is, if you take anything away from this conversation, is just take a moment, do an inventory of your favorite foods as a kid, and then cross-reference that with your cultural background, and you'll find the culprit that got you hooked to fatty foods, to a lot of carbs or a lot of sugar. You'll usually find the answer in your past.
Well, and I was talking about this, I think, on another show. My comfort food, besides shortbread at Christmas time anyway, was Pepsi and chips and dip.
Oh
and
boy.
after talking to you, I was thinking, like, where did that even come from? Then I realized my dad used to eat it all the time, and we didn't have Pepsi, we had Pick-a-Pop, which is basically the same. It's actually worse. So that started when I was young, and that carried. I don't drink Pepsi anymore, and I don't eat chips and dip hardly ever.
Right.
But I've switched from Pepsi to ginger ale, so I mean, I'm not doing any better. But it's so weird when you think back about, and I smoked oysters, which I don't know if they're good or bad for you, but that's another thing that I got from my dad. And when I want kubasau, crackers, cheese, I have to have smoked oysters, and it's because of him.
Well, that's I talk to a lot of clients. I talk to family and friends who ask me about this question, and then I just ask that simple question: what's your favorite food? Like my best friend in Kansas, his name is Walter Cook. And him and I have been best friends for almost 30 plus years. And I remember going to his house all the time because I would just invite myself, and his family was gracious enough to invite me in because they served meat. My mom is a vegetarian. I couldn't get meat at my house, so I would eat at their house half the time. And his favorite thing in the world was homemade mac and cheese. And oh yeah, and I remember him eating mac and cheese one day, and he kept eating and eating and eating, and nobody cut him off, and then he just vomited all of it out in one shot. It just all overate. He just kept eating it, and it's funny. Him and I laugh about it later in life, but he gravitates towards cheese. He gravitates towards pizza. He gravitates towards pasta, and it's no surprise where that came from.
No kidding. You know what? That's funny. KD is a comfort food for me too. You're not naming off all these. I don't realize, and I have KD in my cupboard. And it's not homemade. It's in a box.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But yeah, that's weird. Okay. You know what? I didn't realize any of this stuff till I started talking to you. And as I'm sure most of our listeners are the same way, they didn't start. It's just bizarre.
Well, it's one of those things. It's so funny. It's like nutrition is one of those subjects that we think about when it becomes an issue where we take a look at ourselves in the mirror and say, I need to lose a few pounds. I need to fix my diet. Then we think about it, and then guess what? We lose the weight, it goes away. But and that's the message I'm trying to impart to people, that is, this is a daily habit you need to focus on, because this is something you do every day for the rest of your life, which is eat, and the choices you make.
Yeah.
So don't think about it when it suits you and it becomes a problem. Think about it every day, make small changes, adjust as you need to. Don't deprive, basically enjoy your life, enjoy food. But if you think about it, it won't be an issue later in life. It won't be an issue early in life if you are parents for your children, can, nip it in the bud and say, hey, you know what I'm going to do? Instead of giving them this kind of sugary, sweet comfort food, I'm going to introduce a comfort food that's healthy, that they'll enjoy, and they can eat a lot of, and I won't feel bad about it, because that's what I did with my kids.
That's, wow. I'm finding out, okay, so now, what is a healthy fat? So if we're talking about culture and comfort food,
yes,
if there is, like, on a Friday night or a Saturday night, whenever you have your family night, excuse me, and, usually it's sit around, watch a movie, eat popcorn or chips or drink pop or do whatever the case may be, because I think all of us are guilty of doing that. And I don't even want to say guilty, because I think it's just normal. But right. What is an alternative?
So that's a great question. And what you can do is, and I'm just going to be really honest about this, is you're going to have to do trial and error, because you're going to have to find different items and throw it at your kids and say, hey, I want you to try this. And, you want them to be healthy. So one of the things like my kids love is pretzels, for example. Pretzels have a good amount of carbs, but they're kids, so I don't even care about that. They don't have any sugar. You just got to be careful of the processed flour that's in pretzels. So, moderation is key, but pretzels is a great snack for them. Nuts. I've introduced them to nuts as early as I could. So they love pistachios, they love almonds, they love peanuts, they love all the high good fat nuts, and they stay away from the pecans, high sugar, macadamia nuts, high sugar. We kind of keep those away, but the other almonds and peanuts and, sometimes cashews, but, that's a great little comfort food snack I've got them accustomed to, and they will crave that, and they will eat that, and they will enjoy it. So you can literally program your kids to eat healthy, quote unquote, comfort foods, and you won't feel bad about what you're teaching them or what habits they'll carry with them later in life.
Huh. And you know what? The funny thing is, as you're talking about that, when I started my lifestyle change, I mean, I'm not 100% there, but I did start. I thought I was so proud of myself because I went from Pepsi to ginger ale, but I started eating pretzels, the low fat pretzels, actually.
Okay.
So I did start eating at least something healthier.
Yeah,
not a lot of
great. Yeah, just one warning, because I always have to put my warnings out there, is, not to burst anybody's bubble, but, pretzels contain enriched flour. So enriched flour is what they add, like niacin, riboflavin, to make it have some nutritional value, but it's added chemicals. So just, if you eat pretzels, great, have some, enjoy them, but try to eat them in moderation. And usually the hard pretzels are better than the soft ones. Just FYI.
Okay, I've never had a soft pretzel in my life.
Really? Wow.
Am I missing out? Do I have to go to New York or something?
Yeah, let me put it this way. If you haven't had one, at least get one and, go with the, you can either do a cheese dip or yellow mustard. I go yellow mustard. It's fantastic, honestly. It is.
I'm going to have to find out if they have them here. Huh. now I'm curious about a soft pretzel. Okay, so how do you, we keep talking about sugar, and how it's like an opioid for our body, which still, it blows my mind. And when you see my food diary at the end of the week, it's going to blow your mind, because I'm addicted, obviously. And with children, we talked about it, how, there is the sugar high that they go through, and they're just out of control, and they're crazy, and they're going nuts. How do we, obviously it's best to start off right from the get-go. But what if you haven't? How do you cut that back without them going through withdrawals? Because like you said, you do go through withdrawals. And a lot of it is comfort food, like I said, on Saturday nights. And that's where the chips and dip and the pop came from, because we would sit around and watch a movie or play games or cards or whatever, and that's what was on the table.
Yeah, no, so that's a great question. And the best way to answer that question is with one word, which is balance. And let me explain. So last weekend, I had to take both my kids to a one of their friends' birthday parties, and it was on a Sunday. And I knew they're going to get junk food. They're going to get some pizza, which, at the end of the day is not that bad for kids, but I don't want them to eat pizza all the time. But, once in a while is great. But they were going to get birthday cake, and they were going to get some party favors, and the party favor there had to have been cotton candy. So they're going to eat some sugar. So I know this going into this weekend. So you know what I did was, before we went to the birthday party, we went on a 10-mile bike ride is what we did. So I just recently taught them how to ride bikes, and they love it now, which I'm so happy because now I can ride my bike with them. But we went on a 10-mile bike ride, and then we stopped, did a little bit of a nature walk, and came back, and they had a good amount of exercise that day. So why I say balance is because in the morning they had a healthy breakfast. After that, we did some exercise. After that, they had a healthy lunch, and then they went to the party. They had some pizza, they had some cake, they had some soda, they had some cotton candy. And yes, it affected them because they were like little Energizer bunnies running around. It was crazy. But at the end of the day, I felt fine with it. You know why? Because I created balance. I didn't deprive them, but I didn't overload them because they did other good things to balance it out, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do. I get it. So, yeah, because that would be hard too if they're going to like a birthday party and stuff like that because you're not there to control it.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You're not there to control it. It's not even about you. It's about them having fun with their friends, and that's what they're going to do. So, I'm not there to control. I'm there for them to enjoy and have fun with their friends. So they had the best of both worlds that day. They had the sugar, they had the junk, but they had the exercise. They weren't sedentary. So with kids, gaining and losing weight can happen pretty quickly with kids because their bodies react to food so quickly. So, we were so active that day. Do I think they're going to get obese after one sitting of sugar and pizza? No. And, it's not going to be that way. But they were crazy. I could tell you firsthand. I mean, because I tried to limit their sugar, they were like little Energizer bunnies. I mean, they could not stop talking. It was crazy. So, but that's kind of what you deal with. So my advice to all the parents out there with kids is keyword is balance. If going into a weekend, hey, it's going to be a birthday party. It's going to be this. It's going to be a family event. Make sure throughout the day you balance them out with good food, clean food, some exercise so you don't feel bad that you've been either keeping them sedentary or loading them with sugar throughout the entire day.
Okay. So the key is, okay, and you know what? I'm going to ask a question because I know I get this a lot. You can change your lifestyle. I know you don't like the word diet, so we're not going to use it. You can change your lifestyle, but that doesn't just include your food. And a lot of people think, well, if I stop eating that, I'm going to lose weight and I'm good. Or if I exercise, but I still eat that, I'm good. And it has to be both. It can't be just one or the other, right?
Yeah, I know. I love that you asked this question. So the algorithm I tell my clients is 60, 30, 10. So what that means is 60% of whatever physical changes you want to see in your body come from diet. 30% come from exercise. 10% comes from sleep. So very simply, if you were just to exercise only, I've got clients that just train with me on the physical fitness side, but not the nutrition side. And then I've got clients who just train with me on the nutrition side, not the physical fitness side. I've had clients on the physical fitness side only say, oh my God, I train all the time, yet I'm not really seeing the changes my friend who never works out sees, but they kind of clean up their diet. I say, well, you answered your own question because diet is 60%. And we're using the word diet as in the food you eat, not a diet. But diet is 60% of everything that you do to make changes in your body. Now, you combine diet and exercise, you will accelerate those results. And then, of course, you cannot forget sleep because sleep is where your body repairs, burns fat. It does all the metabolic processes throughout the day. The majority of the metabolic processes happen when you are sleeping. So that's really important because I used to be the guy who was a night owl. I used to stay up at 3 or 4 in the morning, and I was a big weightlifter at the time. I wasn't seeing the results. And what I realized was when you're sleeping, you have a peak period of human growth hormone that the hormone that's naturally in your body, will peak around 6 to 8 hours. So if you get 8 hours of sleep, you will peak HGH in your body to burn fat. 6 hours it starts producing. 7 is good. 8 is the peak when you see that HGH effect in your own body to burn that fat. So that's why sleep is so important.
Wow. Good Lord. Okay. I'm going to go back to this culture and comfort food. You've already talked about your ethnicity and what you ate as culture and comfort food. I've talked about mine. I was Scottish and there was all kinds of stuff. Like if you look at the different types of like Italian food and French food and, you know, the
Right.
different types of food, and you kind of look at people who are hardcore into their culture comfort food, you can see that it affects them. Like I'm not trying to say everybody that's of this ethnicity is fat, because that's not what I'm trying to say. But
Right.
like for instance, I have a friend who is Italian and oh my God, he makes the best pasta. But anyway, he makes pasta every single day. And what is it called? Baklava? I don't know. It's some crazy good dessert. And
Okay.
it's
Was it
layers
bak-
of sugar.
Yeah, it's baklava then. I think
Okay.
there's-
So
yeah.
he eats that all the time. And he's constantly complaining that he, you know, is gaining weight and never loses weight. And he rides a bike, but that's all he does. He still
Yeah.
eats what his recipes are not like, you know, how we Google sometimes or we buy a recipe book. His recipes are in a box and they're all his mother's and his grandmother's and so on and so forth. So do you think ethnicity plays a role too?
You know, it's a good question, because you look at Italians. Let's keep it on this person here, and that is Italians. You know, eat pasta. Now, but here's the difference, though, and that is we have to take a step back because it's also extrinsic factors. So let me explain. We talked about, I think, 2 shows ago or 1 show ago about how, you know, when in India or in European countries, people are close to their food source. So they know where their food is coming from, or it's made from scratch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's basically kind of almost a farm to table experience for most people in Europe and in India, because you go to the market. Here, if let's say you're Italian and you want pasta, you go to the store, you buy it off the shelf, you put in some water, and you're done. I don't know any Italian friends of mine who make their own pasta. They do on special occasions, but they don't do it 99% of the time. So
yeah, he doesn't either.
you look at the ingredients in pasta. Everything is in there. All these ingredients are in there to extend shelf life. And what does that do? Also has profound effect on your body. It's got loaded with enriched flour, which I said is basically flour with added chemicals to get some nutritional value. So that's not natural wheat that they use to make the flour to make the pasta. That has a profoundly different effect on your body than the store-bought pasta that you buy, because it's loaded with chemicals, it's loaded with stuff to keep it on the shelf longer, so therefore you're going to gain weight.
Okay. All right. So it does kind of play a role, I guess, because I mean, you hear all the time, and I hear all the time anyways, I don't know if anybody else does, about French, how they drink red wine, it's good for your heart, it's healthy, and I mean, their children start drinking it at a young age. So that is a culture thing, and I mean, I don't know if it's good for you or not. You would know more than I would.
Red wine is good for you in small doses. It's absolutely great for you. It's got a lot of anti-inflammatory, properties about it. But to bring it to the French are a great example, because in France, people go to the market to buy their groceries, and French bread is very popular there, obviously, because it's France, and they love their bread and they love their wine. But, you know, I was in France for a while. I speak French. I took French in high school, and I am really familiar with the culture. People in France are not really that obese, and they eat really decadent food. The reason why is one simple reason, and that is when they go to the market, we have to come back to this, which is it's fresh. Their French bread is fresh. And that bread goes bad at the end of the day, so they chuck it, but it's always bought out. So it's not there to last long on the shelf. It's fresh. They know what ingredients are going into there. flour, water, sugar, whatever it may be, the basics. And so they eat very rich, decadent foods, but you don't see the rate of obesity in France as you do here.
No.
You don't. They look at Americans also, and they say, wow, how can you guys eat this much? Because the other thing you have to keep in mind is portion sizes. In our country versus other countries are night and day. I was in Australia a while back in 2006. We went to a restaurant and the portion sizes were tiny. And you know what? I was happy because I was like, wow, I don't have to overeat. I'm eating exactly the amount I want. I'm not going to waste any food, and I don't feel obligated to finish my plate and overeat. So here you buy a dinner for $8.99 at a restaurant, and guess what? You got actually 2 dinners, but for some reason we think the portion size is just for one meal, so we overeat.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's amazing. Portion sizes around the world are much smaller compared to here.
Wow. I don't know what they are in Canada. I've never really thought about it or checked. And see, like Canadians, okay, so I'm going to talk about my country now. Poutine is huge. I mean, poutine is like our national
Oh yeah,
food.
I had that too when I was in Canada. I've had that, yeah.
That's like a heart attack waiting in a bowl as far as I'm concerned. But I like it.
My cousins took us to this famous poutine restaurant. I tried 4 different poutines, and wow, I mean, did I feel horrible about myself after that day? I mean, I felt god-awful about myself. It is the best and worst thing ever. It just is.
Yeah, I've got people going poutine, and somebody went pudding. No, it's not. It's kind of like pudding if you mix it all together, which you're supposed to do. Okay, so now I have another question. Well, actually, I don't. Somebody else has a question.
Yeah.
They were brought up eating butter, so
Yeah.
now everybody's talking about like Baicel and all kinds of margarines. What she wants to know is butter bad for you? And because she grew up eating it, should she switch?
It's a great question. If I had to choose between butter and margarine, I take butter every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Oh.
The reason why is margarine is a bowl of chemicals you're eating. That's not natural at all. It's a bowl of chemicals. Okay. You don't find margarine, we don't churn butter. We don't churn milk into margarine. We don't do that. It's a man-made thing as a alternative to butter. Butter contains fat. Yes, it does. Butter is usually made from whole milks, with salt and whatever. Let me put it this way. Butter in small quantities is just fine. Just don't drench everything in butter. Try not to eat it every day if you don't have to. But if you're going to choose between butter and margarine, go with butter. Skip the giant bowl of chemicals.
I am so hoping my stepdad's listening to this right now. It wasn't my question, but I'm so glad. I'm so glad that was the answer. I used to have this argument with him constantly, and I kept telling him butter is better for you than margarine. No, it's not. No, it's not. So now we know.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now, next question.
Yes.
You talked about eggs, and you eat a lot of eggs, and I eat a lot of eggs. Now,
Yeah.
a big thing, I don't know if it's just in our province or my family or whatever, a big thing is on Saturday mornings is bacon, eggs, toast, hash browns.
Okay.
And it's not small quantities. So I'm taking it the eggs are okay, but probably the rest aren't, and then the bread topped in there with whatever you put on it.
Well, so I'll go back to my first point, which is balance. So let's say that's the breakfast on, you're saying every Saturday, is that right?
Yeah, actually, I'm getting a whole bunch of people saying that theirs is on Saturdays too. It's a big thing. Apparently, it's a big thing.
Is it a Canadian thing?
No, I think it's everywhere.
Okay. All right, gotcha. All right, no matter. I'll go back to balance, and that is if that's your breakfast every Saturday, I just want people to think, don't deny yourself that guilty pleasure. It's fine. But guess what? Do something the rest of the day in terms of exercise and nutrition to balance it out.
Okay.
Because when we start depriving ourselves of things, that's when it turns into a diet, and a diet is unsustainable. So therefore, I'd rather people make 10,000 small changes throughout the week versus making one huge change during the week that they can't sustain, because those small changes will add up to a more profound effect that is sustainable versus making that one big sacrifice that they feel bad about because they can't have their breakfast on Saturday. Just do things to balance it out.
Okay. Okay, so now here we're going to go back to one of my comfort foods that my daughter will phone me. She doesn't live with me. She's 32 years old. She will phone me and ask me to make. I'm scared to even tell you. It is.
Like I said, I judge internally, okay?
Okay, good. It is French toast,
Okay.
made with eggs, obviously, and I also add some cream. And I also add cinnamon. And then obviously you eat French toast with syrup.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I know, because I don't have it all the time, because I only make it when she wants it, because unfortunately that was a comfort food for her when we were growing up, because that was what I would do on the weekends. I find if I do eat it, if I'm by myself, or if I just decide to make it, if, I have somebody over or whatever, I feel like I can't move after.
Well, let's see what we've included French toast. So you've got kind of you've got the fat, which is great, for the brain, because the brain loves fat. It basically sedates us. You've got the sugar, which hits our pleasure center, so it makes us feel good. So we're feeling sedated. Now we're feeling good. And then, so you've got those two things working right on, psychologically, which is more powerful than anything. So here's what I say. And that is, we got to find a balance. And that is, if you could go every other week with eating it, I'd say that'd be a good idea.
Okay.
But if you got to go every week to eat that, if you feel like I have to have it every week at one point, then, like I always say, there's a larger issue going on we need to address, and how you tackle that is with small little changes throughout the week. So if you know you're going to have the French toast with eggs or whatever it may be, during the week, try to eat as clean as possible, because you're going to kind of fall off the wagon when you eat that particular food. So you don't feel bad that you didn't do anything during the week to make a better lifestyle change for yourself.
Okay. Okay, so now I have another question from somebody. We're talking culture and comfort food. Now, does that play into holiday food?
Yeah, it does. It does quite a bit, because in my book, I call the holidays landmine months. You know why? Because you're going to be dodging landmines, or you're going to step right into it. Okay? One of the two. You're going to make a conscious choice to say, I'm going to step on this landmine. I don't care what's going to happen. And that landmine can come in the form of pumpkin pie, can come in the form of whatever comfort food your family makes for you during the holiday season, or you can choose to sidestep it. So it's a very apt analogy, but what I would say is this, and that is, usually the foods that taste the best are usually the ones that are not so good for you. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Right? It's an unfortunate coincidence, right? But here's the thing. Thanksgiving dinner, I go to my best friend Walter's house in Kansas City. So, I take the kids and we all go down there, and they make pumpkin pie, chocolate pie, blueberry pie, and apple pie. Everybody in their family makes a specialty pie. Now, I don't eat it because I just been off of sugar for so long. But my kids are looking at this thing, just salivating and drooling. That's all they talk about is those pies they're going to have. And what I do is I tell them, I said, listen, we're gonna eat pretty good throughout the day, and then have at it during Thanksgiving dinner. Have a slice of each, enjoy it. I'm not a fan of it, but I'm not going to deny you that, because it's once a year, and it's really once a year, so it's not really a big deal. So I just tell them to balance it out. So I feed them pretty clean for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. For breakfast and lunch, and then we exercise. We go to the park. We'll go to the gym. We'll do something, because I want to stay active, because I know I'm going to gorge myself a little bit on Thanksgiving dinner. So I don't feel horrible. But what's so interesting is I'm saying this to the audience right now, is do this little experiment. If you're going home for Thanksgiving, go in the morning, and you have family, who's going to be there.
Yeah.
So this is what I would do. This is a little social experiment. In the morning, go work out, or in the afternoon, go work out. And eat a clean breakfast, eat a clean lunch, and then indulge yourself in dinner with the, whatever type of food and dessert. And then look around the table. You're going to find something very interesting happen, which is you're going to see a lot of people are like, oh my God, I ate so much. I ate so much. I feel horrible. And then you're going to look at yourself and go, you know what? I don't feel so bad because I actually mentally I accomplished something today and I don't feel bad about what I ate. So guess what? You can have your cake and still feel good because you actually accomplished something during the holiday months when we're programmed during the holiday. Don't do anything. Just sit, watch TV. Well, guess what? Do the opposite, and I guarantee you're going to feel so much better about yourself that day.
Okay. Because, yeah, you guys deep fry turkeys over there. We don't.
We smoke them, bake them.
We smoke them? I thought you deep fried them.
Oh, my God. I mean, I gotta be honest with you. Deep frying turkey is the most fantastic thing in the world. My God.
Okay, now I really want to try it. Oh my God. Okay, so so we do something physical in order to make up for all the stuff that you're going to be gorging on.
Physical. It's not just the physical part. It's eating clean as much as you can leading up to the event. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, because that's the 60% we talked about. Is just staying active, eating clean. But what I like people to do is just stay active and eat clean as much as they can, not just for the event, but throughout the month, and just make it a part of your regular routine so that when you know you're going to go off course because you're going out of town on a trip, you're going to a family holiday, you don't feel horrible and now you got to play catch up all over again. You won't feel like, oh my God, after this trip, I got to lose 10 pounds. No, guess what? After this trip, I may gain a pound, but I don't feel horrible.
Okay. So in going forward too, I mean, because we're talking about comfort food and culture, we have been taught that, cranberry sauce that isn't homemade and, pumpkin pie and all these pies. And at Christmas time, there's all these parties and all these different, everybody has their own food that they put out that is from their culture.
Yeah.
So going forward as a parent, or even as a single person like me, I am a parent, but she's not here. She's 32.
Right.
You have to, I guess, consciously start making changes, right?
Yeah. So, when I say comfort food, it doesn't have to be food that you serve to them during holiday months. Comfort food can be comfort food any day of the week, anytime you want it to be. Mm-hmm. So it's not a hard and fast definition. So what I would say very simply is this. With comfort food, start thinking about foods that your kids naturally gravitate towards that are healthy. And that starts with you. So if you like carrot sticks with almond butter and a little bit of salt, start feeding that to your kids and see how they like it. And so you'll start finding the food items that are healthy, nutritious, that you can feed to them over and over and over. And they'll just say naturally over time, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, can you give me this? I want a snack. And they'll always ask for the same thing. Like my kids, they love pickles. They love the sour, hot pickles, and they can eat like 20 of those. That's one of their comfort foods. And I'm happy with that. Eat a pickle, eat 5 pickles. I don't care. Those are great. I love them too. And they learned that from me because I love pickles. So it comes back to my other points, which is lead by example. And you can lead by example on comfort foods. And if they see you eating the same type of food over and over, they're going to say, okay, I want some too. And you don't even have to push it on them. You just say, hey, you want to have some food with me? And then when it comes down to the holiday months, like at the spread that we go to at my best friend's house, they'll have veggies for the kids because they know the kids love veggies. And so they'll be snacking on veggies before the big meal. I'm fine with that instead of them snacking on chips and dip. So you can program your kids towards a certain way, towards a certain type of food in a very positive manner.
Okay. Hang on, I got a whole bunch of questions happening here. Hang on, I'm trying to keep up. Okay, so alcohol. Does alcohol play into culture or tradition that's become unhealthy as far as like sugar content?
Yeah, it does actually. I was at a speaking event in Las Vegas about two or 3 weeks ago, and a buddy of mine came down and he likes beer. In the American culture, depending on where you're from, your ethnic background, I know most of my friends drink beer and they love beer during the holiday months. I've also got friends who are Greek and, different cultures, they drink different alcohols, right? So we were at this event in Las Vegas and, my friend just orders a beer. And I said, hey, you want to try something different? And he said, what? I said, how about you try vodka and pickle juice? And he's like, what? He never heard of that. I said, yeah, it's really popular. And I actually published a article a long time ago when I first started my company. And this is one of my most popular articles, which was the alcohols that are best to drink versus the alcohols that are the worst to drink. So the best to drink alcohols are your grain alcohols. And the top two are tequila and vodka. Low sugar, lowest calorie, and tequila's got probiotics. But pickle juice and vodka is one of the most popular drinks now. And I promote that. If you're going to drink something, go pickle juice and vodka because you get low calorie, low sugar with the vodka and the pickle juice. And then the pickle juice rehydrates you. So whatever you lost with the vodka, you get back with the pickle juice.
Okay, I've never heard of that before. Yeah, everybody is like tripping out right now going, what?
Yeah. Austin, Texas, it's huge. Pickle juice and vodka. Florida, I've seen people drink it. Try it. It's like a dirty martini except with vodka.
Okay, well, I don't drink, so I wouldn't be able to try it. Okay, so we got an answer to that question. Drink pickle juice and vodka, guys, if you do drink, but please drink in moderation and don't drink and drive. How about natural sugar from bananas? Somebody's asking.
What about it? Like in what sense?
Is it like, what about it? Is it better for you? I guess.
So it comes back to, natural sugar versus extra sugar. And that is, you're going to find sugar in fruit for the most part. I have a banana every morning. And like I said, if you're going to eat fruit and you want that sugar and you want that nice taste of banana, it depends on what you're doing that day. For me, I keep my fruit intake in the morning for breakfast. So I have a banana. And yes, it does contain sugar, but I like to eat my bananas green, so a little bit on the less ripe side. So the more green they are, the less sugar content you have in the banana. The more yellow they are, the more sugar it has in there as it's ripening, just so you know. So I like to eat mine a little bit crunchy, so I don't get the sugar rush from the banana. But if you're working out, a banana is a great snack to kind of replenish some of those nutrients you lost. But just remember, sugar is sugar. Your body can't tell the difference between natural sugar and extra sugar that's been added. So it's gonna be processed the same way. It just depends on what time of day you have it, what you've been doing, and have you been sedentary or have you been active?
Okay. Well, I guess that answers your question. I like to breathe, so no. Oh, you're allergic to bananas. Okay. I'm like, what do you mean you like to breathe? So no bananas for me. I like them. My family teases me because I like them, so they're smushy.
Oh, you like them like really ripe then, huh?
Really ripe. Okay, so sugar, no matter what. I guess in answer to your question, it doesn't matter if it comes from fruit or not. And don't eat fruit after 10 o'clock. And I learned this last week from Sanjay because you're not supposed to eat fruit after 10. So regardless of where you're getting your sugar from, naturally or with a spoon, it's still sugar. And your body can't differentiate.
Yeah.
I can't even say that word.
It can't differentiate where it's coming from, so it processes it the exact same way.
Okay, so then, hang on. Should you drink coconut water or coconut milk for potassium? What?
Great question.
You can't eat bananas. Okay. I got so lost.
Okay. No, that's a great question, actually, because what happened is I did the 10-mile bike ride with the kids, and instead of bringing water with me, we had coconut water. That is a fantastic source of potassium. It doesn't have the fat that coconut milk has, so go with coconut water.
My big thing is, okay, and I'm sure this is probably, I don't know how many people are going to agree with me. I'm scared, and we're going back to why I'm scared to try new things, but I'm scared. You hear all the time that things that are good for you taste like awful. Now, so I've never had coconut water or coconut milk. I've never had almond milk, if I think that's good for you. I don't even know. I don't know. I'm scared to try them, but they make them taste better now than they used to, right?
Well, here's the thing, though. And I'm going to disagree with you in the sense that things that are good for you can taste good.
Well, I imagine they can.
Yeah, because here's the thing. If the premise were true that most things that are good for us don't taste good, most people wouldn't do it, right? There'd be no reason why to do it, right?
Yeah.
And for me, just because Brussels sprouts are good for me doesn't mean I'm going to eat them. I hate them. I can't stand them. Yeah, I can't stand them, and I'm not going to eat them. But I can get the nutrients from a Brussels sprout in other foods that I do like. You know what I mean? So like broccoli, kale, whatever it may be. So that's the one thing that people need to realize, and that is if you see a plate of Brussels sprouts, you're like, oh my God, it's healthy, but I can't stand it, but I'm just going to gorge it down because I need the nutrition. You don't have to do that. There are always alternatives to healthy foods that are just as nutritious, that can taste good for you, because everybody's palate is different.
Okay. Okay, because I really, really, really want to try almond milk. I mean, I drink milk, and now you've got me like so not wanting to drink milk because
Okay, I
you said
traumatized the audience with my stories last time.
I
So,
know, like you, like what other person or animal? What did you say? What other?
I said, what other animal in nature drinks another animal's fluids? No other animal except humans.
Yeah, except yeah, milk. Okay, so now I've got another question. Yes, some healthy foods can be misleading. That is true. And as we found out from Sanjay, they don't put the proper information on the. That's why fresh, I guess, is the way to go. How about using Ensure for vitamins and energy?
I see what they're saying. That Ensure drink,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh, I gotcha. Um, Here's the thing. I'm not going to say never do it. I'm going to say this, and that is, if you are drinking Ensure for vitamins and some of the other things you're missing in your diet, ask yourself the bigger question, which is, maybe I should change up my diet a little bit, include those things, so I don't have to keep going back to drinking this particular thing.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I always go back. I'm always about ask the why. That's a big thing for me, and that is, why are you doing this? If you need a supplement, guess what? How about we ask why you're taking the supplement? So I'm always going back to the root cause. So let's go to the root cause and fix that part, and that will eliminate the need for you to drink something like that.
Okay. So I hope that answers your question. You love asparagus. Okay. So do I. I love Brussels sprouts too, actually. And you know what? The funny thing, like this is going to go back to culture and comfort food. Because
Yeah.
I had 2 Thanksgiving dinners this year. We've already celebrated Canadian Thanksgiving. I know yours is coming up. I had 2. One that my boyfriend's mom made, and one that my daughter made. The first ever meal she actually made like that. So she was so excited. His sister had Brussels sprouts, and I was like, "Oh my God, I love Brussels sprouts." And he's like, "I can't eat them unless there's tons of butter and garlic on them." And I'm like, "Isn't that defeating the purpose of Brussels sprouts?" But
Exactly.
that's how they eat them.
I know exactly. Like I remember going to restaurants and they would serve Brussels sprouts, and I tried it. And it was so good, but the reason why, they coated it with tons of bacon. That's why.
Oh, he said that too. Yeah.
It's unsustainable. So that's the thing. That is, there's going to be certain foods that are good for you, but they only they're only palatable because you're adding all this other stuff, which makes them unhealthy. So then you are removing the benefit because you just added a lot of bad stuff to it. So you have to weigh your options in. If I'm going to eat Brussels sprouts, can I cook them in a certain way to maintain their nutritional content and not lose what I'm gaining from it? You have to ask those questions.
Okay. I'm still going to talk about holiday food because I have another question. I know you said start the week before. I know a lot of people that won't eat the entire day until they go for the supper. And I mean, we're going to talk about Allie's diet because usually I only eat supper.
Right.
That's not helping, right?
Oh God, no, it's not helping you in the least. I mean, so let's kind of talk real quick about how the body works because this is a common question, and this is not, a lot of people don't know this. So I'm happy to answer this, which is very simple, and that is, when you deprive your body of food, your body is now thinking, where am I going to get my next meal? So what it does is it basically will store everything that you eat because it doesn't know if it's going to get its next meal. Okay, so it's very counterintuitive. So when you so for Thanksgiving dinner, for example, since we're on this holiday, if you don't eat throughout the day and you eat just that one big meal because you're like, I'm saving up. Now remember, there's only a finite amount of space in your stomach, number one. Okay, number two, you are going to be storing that food because your body's like, I haven't gotten food all day. And now you're finally feeding me, so I'm going to store this food. Okay? Now, what's the difference between that and fasting? Fasting is different because that's prolonged. So you're going to lose weight with fasting. You're just going to drop pounds. I don't promote it if you don't really need to do it. But with just not eating throughout the day, just to save yourself for that one meal, not a good idea.
Okay. So then I say this all the time, and I mean, I do it, and I'm so guilty of not eating. And I get busy, and for some reason, my body doesn't get hungry. Like, I don't get hungry. And I mean, that's over time. I've obviously trained my body to do that. But I've talked to people who say, oh, well, I'm just going to eat like all these crazy fad diets that are out there. I'm just going to eat baby food. I heard the latest one is baby food. And I'm like, what? And I told them, but then your body's going to go into starvation mode, which is basically what you're talking about, right? Because then it's like, oh my God, I'm only getting this, so I'm going to grab onto whatever fat I can and store it.
Yeah, no, you're right. And that's the thing. Prolonged fasting or intermittent fasting, for example, I do intermittent fasting every now and then. And you know what? You will lose weight. You will lose body fat with intermittent fasting because it's intermittent. You're going to feed your body. Your body's not going to be storing thinking, I don't know when my next meal's coming. Okay? But like basically fasting for a day and basically saying, I'm not going to have any meals, not a great idea at all, because here's the thing. The point of eating is to enjoy yourself, is to provide your muscles with nutrients and energy. And why deprive yourself and you're not getting any benefit out of it? Why do that?
Yeah, exactly. I don't understand either. Okay, I have a question. Is wheat really better than white starches?
So here's the thing, and that is wheat, now you have to be very careful, and that is if it's whole wheat, you got to look at the ingredients, and if it's whole natural wheat, then yes, you're in good shape with wheat. White flour is very different because white flour is enriched, like we talked about. It is basically processed. So 90% of the time, white flour is a bad choice compared to wheat flour.
Okay, I hope that answers your question. Okay,
Yeah.
oh God, I had a question. I totally forgot. It mustn't have been important. Oh, I know what I wanted to do. Okay, so let's tell people to go, and then we'll do the contest. We'll continue talking. So,
yes.
Right now it's 7:51. We're done at 8. Excuse me. So these are the rules. I will state them again. You have to be following both Sanjay and I on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Ali's Attic Show, and Sanjay is at Go Big Raja, and it's RAJA. Follow us both on Twitter and Instagram, and we will be checking. Trust me, I will be anyway. And then, excuse me, type the word, 2 words, comfort food, in either Instagram or Twitter. The first 30 people that do that are going to win an ebook. How do you even say that, Sanjay? An ebook copy?
There's a free copy of the ebook. Yeah.
A free copy of the ebook, The Food Talk, that Sanjay wrote. Yes, thank you. Okay, I did answer your question. Okay, good. I'm so glad. Okay, so I know what I wanted to ask. Now I know how you feel about milk. I think we all know now how you feel about milk.
Oh God.
Now, my family was brought up. Okay, so I lived on a farm for a while when my mom left my dad, where we had to actually milk the cows, like I told you, and skim it and do all that wonderful stuff. My family drinks 1% milk. My boyfriend loves 2% milk. And I mean, regardless of whether it's discharged from another animal, if you are drinking milk, somebody asked, is it better to drink whole milk, skim milk? Like, what kind of milk?
So if you're going to go with natural milk, and I use that term loosely because there's so many hormones pumped into our milk, but if you're going to natural milk, go with 2% or 1% because whole milk contains a lot of fat and a lot of sugar. Okay. So I would recommend go with 2% or 1%. Go with 2% because 1% literally, it's basically like milk flavored water is what you're drinking. So go with 2% if you want to. That's what I would say.
Okay. I had another culture. Okay, so I talked about being Scottish. One of the things too, and I do this every night, and it's from my grandmother, and I drink tea. Just 1 cup. And everybody's like, well, it's got more caffeine than coffee. How do you fall asleep? For some reason, it does that for me. It helps me fall asleep, relax. Okay. But in saying that, I don't drink my tea with, no sugar. Right. And neither did my grandmother. I mean, I think that's where I don't know where I got my fixation for sugar from. But anyways, she would have a pot on all day. And it was just the thing. You had a cup of tea at night, and you had sugar, and you had cream, and whatever the case may be. And we also, unfortunately, had toast with butter because that was also a thing. So if you're doing that in the evening and you're intaking caffeine, you're intaking sugar, and you're intaking the cream, and then also the bread or butter, that isn't, if you're doing it in the evening, like around 8 or 9 o'clock at night, because that's usually when I have my tea, that is gonna just store as fat, right?
Yeah, because more than likely you're not going to go exercise 2 hours later, are you? You know what I mean? So more than likely you're not going to. You're going to be resting, relaxing. Your body's going to be in a very sedentary state. You're probably going to go to sleep, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours later. So yes, you're going to store that as sugar gets converted to fat, so you'll store it as fat. So it's important to have an eating schedule when possible, because that's another reason why when you go into what I call like the landmine months, which is the holidays, you're going to be off schedule. It's just going to happen because you're on somebody else's schedule. They're making food for you, and you want to join in with the family, and you're going to be off track. So stay on track as much as you can leading up to the event, because you're going to go off track at the event, and you're probably going to eat poorly at the event. So that way it's important to have an eating schedule. I maintain a really tight eating schedule. I eat my breakfast around 7:30. Then I'll either work out before or after breakfast. And then I eat lunch around 11:30, 12. And then I eat my dinner around 6 o'clock. But in between, I'm starving. I am just starving, even though I've eaten all this food, because I'm constantly staying active. I'm processing, so my metabolism is in full gear. So, and that's only possible when I'm on a eating schedule, so that I know when I'm going to eat.
Okay, now I just had another question. Okay, what? Taco pie? Hang on. I don't even know what taco pie is. Taco pie is a piece from my childhood that I still make. What exactly is in taco pie? I'm assuming tacos. I don't even know what is in taco pie.
Yeah, it's a good question. I see a picture of it. I just logged into Instagram, so I'm looking at a picture of it.
Okay, good, because I have a picture of it too, but I can't tell what's. I looks like meat.
It basically looks like a giant kind of taco salad in a baking dish. That's what it looks like.
Okay.
With the layer of cheese baked on top of it.
Alrighty. So is that good for you? I'm thinking no.
Well, here's the thing. Is there a lot of cheese on that? Yeah. So cheese, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of cheese. Cheese is good in moderation. And I'm thinking there's probably some sort of meat in there. And then you're going to top it with some sour cream or something like that. So what's going to happen here is it's interesting. And that is salads. I kind of I'm going to tie this taco pie to a salad. Taco salad is one of the most popular things I've seen people eat. But those salads top out at over 1,000 calories because you're adding tortillas, cheese, veggies, all this stuff. And people are like, well, I'm eating a salad. Well, you're eating 1,000-calorie salad. So at the end of the day, a taco pie, probably not the best thing in the world for you, but in moderation.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well now we know, because I was like, what? And that is her post on Instagram. Oh, to win. Okay, because she said, what did she say? Something about comfort food, right?
Yes. Oh, she put it down. So yeah, she's one of our winners. Yeah.
Okay. 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 Cool. I'm going to mention it again, just so everybody knows. Sanjay is doing an amazing giveaway, as he did last week, and he's doing this week. You have to be following both Sanjay and I on Twitter and Instagram. He is at GoBigRaja, RAJA. I'm at Ali's Attic Show. You have to either on Twitter or Instagram type comfort food and tag both of us, and you will win a ebook copy of his book, The Food Talk. Did I say that right?
Free ebook copy, same thing. We're good.
Okay, free ebook copy. I can't speak. Okay, so I guess, okay, I didn't know I thought she was asking if that was good for you. Anyway, never mind. Oh, that was funny. Okay, so now I know, and you know what? It's so funny. Every time I talk to you, I take something away from it, obviously, which is why I love doing this, because I'm getting educated along with everybody else. And everybody else, they have such good questions.
Yes. Yes.
which is awesome.
We have a very, very intelligent audience. I love it.
Ah, yay! I have a very intelligent eye. Look at that. Um, now, now I know too from my like growing up and realizing like being Scottish, I didn't think that I ate a lot of things that were from that, but the tea, the shortbread, I know like there's a bunch of stuff that are popping in my head that I know I eat because that's what I grew up eating, and it is
Right.
from my culture. And then a lot of it is still comfort food. Like I could sit down, I mean, Sanjay, shortbread and I mean seriously, you guys, shortbread is butter pretty much. I'm just telling you right
Yeah.
now, I've made it. I could
Yeah.
sit down and eat it and eat it and eat it and eat it and eat it, and it just takes me to my happy place. And I don't know if that's because that's what my grandma made when I was growing up, and that's a Scottish thing. I have no idea, but I'm assuming that's why, right?
Well, food equals love to a lot of people in a lot of cultures. In Indian culture, that's everything is food equals love. So they guilt you into eating everything, and if you don't eat it, you don't love me. That's, I mean, it's an unsaid thing. It's like the most horrible thing in the world. But I know it comes from a place of love. But it's the most horrible thing in the world, that feeling. So yes, so food equals love, and that's how we got kind of get hooked into it. And so it's not uncommon for us to go, I don't want to offend. I love my mom. I love whoever's making this food. I'll eat it, but I'm going to feel horrible down the road.
Okay, yes, the giveaway is happening now. Yes, the giveaway is happening now. It started about 10 minutes ago, so it can continue after the show. Um, everybody, I think, knows what to do. I think I've mentioned it on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and everywhere 10 million times.
Yes.
So it's now 8 o'clock. See, every time, every single
Wow.
time, it's like, no, I want to keep going.
I know. I agree. We're going to have to think about that 2 hour show.
We are. We're going to have to. And actually, I had somebody mention at the beginning of the show, is it going to be 2 hours tonight? That's too funny. Okay. So I know you're going to get a lot of people. I'm already seeing lots of people putting on Twitter. I haven't gone and checked my Instagram. The comfort food. You're going to have a lot of people. So you're going to get your 30 people, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So make sure you're following us on all our social media, you guys, because Sanjay contacts me usually on Sunday before I do my radio show so I can talk about what we're going to be the topic of the show. I loved this one because, and I was looking forward to it because I knew I'm a comfort food girl. I know a lot of my family members are, and I didn't realize how much of a culture girl I was till just now. So I learned something again as usual. So, just make sure you're following us because then you'll be able to find out what the next topic is. So if you have any questions, I know we did have a question before we even did the show when we were going to talk about vegan. So that's, I mean, and if you have topics that you want us to talk about, by all means, send us a message because I tagged Sanjay in it when I got it. And he said, yeah, we're definitely going to do a show about vegan. So we will be
Yes.
doing that. We're going to be doing all kinds of stuff. I mean, this is going to continue because it's growing and growing and growing, and I love it. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you so much for your questions. Please don't stop coming in and asking because I learn stuff from your questions, and I'm sure Sanjay does too.
Absolutely.
So make sure you join Sanjay and I next Wednesday at 7 p.m. CST. And like I said, make sure you're following us on all our social media. And you can ask follow-up questions too after the show is over because I know a lot of you are like, why isn't it going 2 hours? And no, your taco pie recipe is so not healthy. She just asked again. I'm like, no, apparently it's not. So yeah, make sure you're following, and thank you so much for tuning in. And Sanjay, thank you again as well. Always, always, always.
I said, this hour goes by too quickly, but I enjoyed it. Our audience is fantastic, and as usual, you bring out the best questions. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for educating. Like, seriously, like, thank you. Because you're making me a much... You know how many people I told don't eat fruit after 10 last week? It wasn't even
Well, just
funny.
remember, here's the thing. Is it the end of the world if you do? No, but if you want to make some certain changes in your body, then yes, that will definitely accelerate those changes in your body if you cut it off after 10 a.m.
Okay. And just so everybody knows, I'm doing my 7-day weekly diary. So next week we are going to start working on Allie before I go for my surgery. And I'm going to do a before sideways picture, which, trust me, people, I'm not looking forward to. I'm not looking forward to giving Sanjay my food diary because as I'm writing it down, I'm going, oh my God. So that tune in for that because that's going to be fun, if anything. You know me well enough. And yeah, everybody have a fantastic night. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Excited. Let's do it.
All right. Good night.
Good night.